On a sunny morning in the Ricardos' cozy apartment, where the Manhattan bustle provided a gentle backdrop through the windows, Lucy Ricardo was engaged in what she considered a perfectly reasonable financial management system. The morning light caught her vibrant red hair as she stood in the middle of their living room, surrounded by a flutter of papers that would make any accountant faint. Her best friend and partner in mischief, Ethel Mertz, the landlady from downstairs with a heart of gold and a wit to match, walked in just in time to witness what could only be described as a paper snowstorm. Lucy, dressed in one of her fashionable house dresses, was tossing bills into the air with the carefree abandon of a flower girl at a wedding. "Lucy Ricardo!" Ethel exclaimed, her eyes wide with a mixture of amusement and concern. "What in the name of common sense are you doing?" Lucy, with that special gleam in her eye that always spelled trouble, turned to her friend with the pride of someone who had just invented electricity. "This, my dear Ethel, is my foolproof system for paying bills," she announced, holding up another handful of papers. "You see, I throw them all up in the air, and those that land face up are the winners." "The winners?" Ethel's eyebrows shot up to her hairline. "You mean the ones you pay?" "Exactly," Lucy beamed. "And if they all happen to land face up, which would be terribly inconvenient for my budget, I simply switch the rules. Then I only pay the ones that land face down." She demonstrated with another theatrical toss, papers floating down like autumn leaves around her perfectly coiffed hair. Ethel, having been Lucy's friend long enough to be immune to shock but never to amazement, watched as bills settled on the furniture, floor, and even Lucy's shoulders. And what happens when Ricky sees this creative accounting method? Lucy's face fell slightly at the mention of her Cuban bandleader husband. "Oh, Ethel, this is the day Ricky goes over my household accounts. I don't think I'll ever get it figured out." She looked around at the paper chaos surrounding her with growing despair. "I can't afford to pay any bills this month." Right on cue, Ricky Ricardo's distinctive Cuban accent floated into the room before he did. "Hi, are your books ready for me to see?" Lucy shot Ethel a panicked look that clearly said, "Save me," but managed to squeak out a yes that sounded about as confident as a mouse at a cat convention. "Let me know how you come out," Ethel said, backing toward the door with the wisdom of someone who knew when to make a strategic retreat. Ricky settled into his favorite chair, clipboard in hand, ready to dive into what he expected to be a simple review of household expenses. Poor, optimistic Ricky. If only he knew what was coming. As he began reading through the entries, his expression cycled through confusion, disbelief, and something approaching existential crisis. 50 cents for the newsboy, he read aloud. 39 cents for toothpaste. 15 cents for nail polish. He paused dramatically before delivering the coup de grace. $245 for miscellaneous. Lucy, who had been hovering nearby like a nervous hummingbird, jumped in with what she clearly thought was a perfectly reasonable explanation. "Oh, you know, miscellaneous. Rent, groceries, telephone, electric, gas, stuff like that." She waved her hand airily, as if bundling all of life's necessities under miscellaneous was the most natural thing in the world. Ricky's face suggested he had different thoughts on the matter. "Well, I'm glad to see you pay this month's bills," he said, in a tone that suggested he wasn't glad at all, and suspected these weren't this month's bills. Lucy, master of evasion that she was, began humming Jingle Bells in August. The truth emerged like a reluctant cat from under the sofa. These were Christmas bills from last year. The lights haven't been paid, the water hasn't been paid, the phone hasn't been paid, Ricky listed, his accent growing thicker with each unpaid utility. "Why haven't they been turned off?" Lucy brightened, finally able to share something she was proud of. "I've been going around stalling our creditors," she announced. Her face fell slightly as she added, "Though this month I'm afraid they're going to want more money." Ricky, trying to maintain his composure while simultaneously preventing an aneurysm, made his proclamation. Lucy was cut off until next February. No more charge accounts. He would handle all the money and pay all the bills himself. "But Ricky," Lucy protested, deploying her best puppy dog eyes, "you're so smart. Can't you think of another way?" "No," came the firm reply, followed by a kiss that was, as Ricky noted, salty but nice. Just when it seemed all hope was lost, fate intervened in the form of Ethel returning with 2 tickets to a radio show called Females Are Fabulous. Lucy initially declined, being in no mood for entertainment, until Ethel mentioned the magic words, "The first prize is $1,000. The speed with which Lucy changed her mind would have impressed a Formula One driver. At the radio studio, the show's host, Freddie Fillmore, welcomed the audience with his signature charm. "Welcome to another session of Females Are Fabulous, our very outstanding program." Lucy's first challenge involved singing "My Bonnie Lies Over the Ocean" while being sprayed with water every time she mentioned anything water-related. She endured this aquatic assault with the determination of someone who could see $1,000 floating before her eyes. But the real challenge came when she learned what she needed to do to win the grand prize. Introduce a stranger to Ricky as her long-lost first husband and maintain the charade until midnight. Lucy, seeing dollar signs where others might see disaster, agreed without hesitation. That evening, the Ricardo apartment became the stage for a farce worthy of Shakespeare. Lucy, normally the picture of subtle subterfuge, which is to say, not subtle at all, was jumping at every sound, knitting Ricky's socks with the intensity of someone defusing a bomb, and generally acting as suspicious as a cat in a dog show. The situation spiraled into glorious chaos when the first husband arrived, who turned out to be a local vagrant who had earlier tried to con his way into their building. This unexpected player in their drama claimed to have fought in the Battle of the Argonne Woods, leading Ricky to point out that this would have been 33 years ago, making Lucy's marriage mathematically impossible unless she had been a child bride. Just when it seemed things couldn't get more complicated, the real actor from the radio show arrived, presenting himself as yet another first husband. Poor Ricky found himself faced with not one, but two of his wife's supposed previous spouses, while Lucy tried to explain how she suddenly had multiple first husbands, none of whom she was actually married to. As midnight struck, Lucy finally broke down and confessed everything: the radio show, the $1,000 prize, the whole scheme. To her amazement and relief, she won the money since she had maintained the charade until after midnight. But Ricky, proving that he could be just as clever as his wife, immediately put the $1,000 to its proper use, paying off Lucy's outstanding bills. When he handed her the change with a triumphant smile, Lucy's expression was worth more than the money she'd just lost. "Ricky!" she exclaimed in that famous tone of hers, somewhere between exasperation and admiration. The evening ended with peace restored to the Ricardo household, if not quite in the way Lucy had planned. Her bills were paid, even if she didn't have a penny left to show for her theatrical efforts. But most importantly, love and laughter had once again proved stronger than any financial crisis or harebrained scheme.